The 1929 crisis left deep scars on the global economy, but it also taught invaluable lessons that are still extremely relevant today. When the Wall Street crash happened, millions lost their homes, jobs, and savings. However, there were those who managed to adapt, survive, and even thrive, despite the immense adversity. How did they do it? The secret lies not only in knowing how to manage money, but in developing a survival financial mindset, one that goes far beyond mere savings. What can we learn from these past lessons to apply to our personal finances today? Let's explore how the 1929 crisis shaped the financial habits of those who survived and how you can use these insights to protect your money and secure a more stable financial future. The Great Depression, or the 1929 crisis, wasn't just an economic failure. It was a turning point that transformed the world in profound and lasting ways. The Wall Street crash triggered a domino effect that affected millions of lives. People who once felt secure in their fortunes saw everything disappear overnight. This catastrophe was not an isolated event, but the result of a series of financial mistakes made by both investors and banks. Those who thought they were immune to market fluctuations learned the hard way that no wealth was truly safe. At the time of the collapse, many lost jobs, savings, and even their homes. While some desperately searched for someone to blame, others began to understand that the root cause of the crisis lay in the lack of financial preparedness. The lesson was clear: an over-reliance on a faulty financial system and poor money management led to one of the largest collective bankruptcies in history. What happened in 1929 wasn't an accident, but a consequence of decades of reckless financial decisions, both from small investors and large corporations. Those who survived the crisis had to learn to live with much less. Overconsumption gave way to frugality, and financial planning became essential for survival. The 1929 crisis not only reshaped the global economy, but also changed people's mindset about money. From that moment on, understanding personal finance and financial habits became a matter of life or death for many. And that mindset endures to this day. The aftermath of the 1929 crash revealed a harsh reality: those who failed to prepare financially were left vulnerable. Many billionaires, who once seemed untouchable, found themselves destitute. The stock market crash didn't discriminate, it wiped out fortunes regardless of the size. For some, it was a loss that could never be recovered. But for others, it was a wake-up call. They had lived lavishly, invested recklessly, and assumed that wealth would last forever. When the rug was pulled out from under them, they learned that financial prosperity requires careful planning, smart saving, and risk management. The sudden reversal of fortunes exposed just how fragile the economic system could be. Those who didn't have a financial safety net found themselves relying on charity, government assistance, or even personal loans from former colleagues. For many, it was an eye-opener. They discovered that, without a strong foundation, even the largest fortunes could crumble. The lesson was undeniable: wealth is not about how much you have, but how wisely you manage it. Building resilience against financial turmoil requires preparation, something that many failed to prioritize. For the survivors of this crisis, the aftermath became a lesson in humility and caution. The most successful people post-crash were not necessarily the wealthiest before, but those who understood the importance of diversifying their investments, saving for emergencies, and avoiding excess. They had learned the hard way that the key to long-term financial survival wasn't about amassing wealth without thought, but about protecting and managing it responsibly. From this point forward, financial wisdom became a badge of honor, and those who embraced it thrived. During the Great Depression, families were forced to adopt frugal and strategic financial habits to survive. With job losses rampant and wages slashed, the concept of living beyond one's means became an unattainable luxury. Families had to get creative and prioritize essentials. They learned to stretch their budgets further by reducing unnecessary expenses and finding ways to make their resources last longer. This wasn't just about cutting costs, it was about rethinking their relationship with money and adjusting their financial mindset. One of the most vital habits during this time was planning and budgeting. Families that made a strict budget, keeping track of every penny, were often the ones who survived with the least amount of hardship. They understood that every dollar mattered, and even small savings could make a big difference in the long run. The art of living within your means became an essential survival skill. Grocery shopping became a strategic task, no more impulse buys, and only what was truly necessary was purchased. It wasn't about deprivation, but about ensuring that they could weather the storm. Additionally, families began to find new ways of generating income. Whether through side jobs, selling goods they made themselves, or bartering services, resourcefulness became key. People realized that relying solely on one income was risky, and that flexibility and adaptability were just as important as financial stability. Many also embraced the minimalist lifestyle, keeping only what was necessary and letting go of any excess, further promoting a mindset of financial independence. These habits, budgeting, side hustles, and living simply are still essential today for maintaining financial health and security. Frugality, once considered a virtue, became a necessity during the Great Depression. People didn't have the luxury of living large, and spending beyond their means was no longer an option. Those who managed to survive the financial downturn were often the ones who practiced frugality in the truest sense, spending less, while ensuring that their basic needs were met. But frugality during the Great Depression wasn't about being cheap, it was about smart, intentional living. It was about making every penny count and finding value in the essentials rather than excess. One of the most important lessons from this time was understanding the difference between needs and wants. People realized that many of the things they thought were essential were actually luxuries that could be done without. This mindset shift was crucial for surviving the financial strain. People learned to live simply, keeping only the things that truly added value to their lives. This also meant reusing, recycling, and repurposing items, as nothing was to be wasted. The idea of making do became an essential part of everyday life, and the wastefulness that had characterized the pre-crisis economy was gradually replaced by a culture of saving and reusing. In addition, frugality wasn't just about cutting down on spending, it also meant being more mindful of time and effort. People became more focused on the future, saving for tomorrow rather than indulging in fleeting pleasures today. Long-term planning took precedence over short-term gratification. Families learned that even small, consistent actions, like saving a portion of their income or growing their own food, could lead to lasting financial stability. By embracing frugality, they not only survived the crisis, but set the stage for a more financially secure future. Unnecessary spending was one of the key factors that led many families to financial ruin during the Great Depression. When the economy collapsed, it became clear that living beyond one's means wasn't sustainable. But the challenge wasn't just about cutting back, it was about recognizing what was truly unnecessary. Many people had grown accustomed to a lifestyle of consumerism, where impulse buying and luxury items were commonplace. The Depression forced people to reevaluate their habits and think more critically about their spending choices. One way to identify unnecessary spending is by examining your habits. What do you buy out of habit rather than necessity? Often, people spend money on things that don't bring lasting value, like expensive gadgets or clothes that quickly lose their appeal. The trick is to ask yourself, do I really need this? Or is this just a fleeting desire? Taking a moment to pause and reflect on a purchase, can help you avoid unnecessary expenses. It's about shifting from a mindset of instant gratification to one of mindful spending, ensuring that every dollar spent has a purpose and adds value to your life. During the Great Depression, families learned to prioritize essentials, like food and shelter, while cutting back on luxuries. This principle of prioritization is just as relevant today. You can start by creating a budget that outlines your fixed expenses and discretionary spending. Track your purchases and see where your money is going. Are you spending on things that don't contribute to your long-term happiness or financial health? By recognizing and eliminating unnecessary spending, you'll be able to save more and invest in what truly matters. Debt was one of the primary reasons people fell into financial ruin during the Great Depression. As banks failed and jobs were lost, many families found themselves unable to keep up with mortgage payments, credit card bills, and personal loans. The psychological pressure of debt created a vicious cycle of stress and desperation. The lesson here is clear: living beyond your means, relying on borrowed money for daily expenses, is a dangerous path. When the economy collapses, debt becomes even more burdensome. To avoid the same fate, it's essential to understand the importance of living within your means. The Great Depression showed us the importance of having a safety net emergency funds to cover unexpected expenses and to prevent the need for borrowing when times get tough. Instead of accumulating debt, focus on saving and budgeting to create a financial cushion that will protect you in times of uncertainty. Even if it's just a small amount at first, consistent saving can provide long-term peace of mind and reduce the need to rely on credit. One of the most valuable lessons from the Depression is the need to be strategic with borrowing. While debt can sometimes be a necessary tool for purchasing a home or funding education, it should never be used to finance an extravagant lifestyle. It's crucial to keep your debt-to-income ratio low, avoid high-interest loans, and pay off debts as quickly as possible. By managing your debt wisely, you can avoid the financial strain that so many people experienced during the Great Depression. During the Great Depression, traditional sources of income like factory jobs and banking positions were wiped out almost overnight. Unemployment rates skyrocketed, and people who once thought of themselves as financially secure were left scrambling. In response, survivors had to get creative to keep food on the table and make ends meet. Many turned to side hustles, barter systems, or even started their own businesses in small ways. The necessity to create alternative sources of income became a crucial survival strategy. One of the most remarkable stories from this era is how people found new ways to earn money by capitalizing on their skills and resourcefulness. For instance, people began offering services like home repairs, sewing, or even tutoring. These small businesses allowed them to maintain some level of financial stability. In today's world, we have more opportunities than ever to create income streams. Whether it's through online freelancing, starting an e-commerce business, or sharing your expertise in a digital course, the ability to diversify your income sources is vital for long-term financial resilience. The Great Depression also taught people the importance of self-sufficiency. For many, it wasn't just about earning more money, it was about reducing dependence on others. This meant growing food at home, making clothes, and using creativity to stretch every dollar. By embracing this mentality, you not only protect yourself from economic downturns, but also take control of your financial destiny. These same principles apply today. Having multiple streams of income and learning to be self-reliant can make a significant difference when facing economic uncertainty. The Great Depression was undoubtedly one of the darkest periods in history, but it also presented unique opportunities for those who were prepared to take risks and adapt. While many people faced unimaginable hardship, others found ways to capitalize on the situation. Some investors bought up distressed assets, recognizing the potential for long-term gain. Entrepreneurs launched businesses that fulfilled urgent needs during the crisis, such as cheap food or essential services. In fact, many successful businesses today owe their roots to that period of economic turmoil. The key to seizing the opportunity during a crisis is a shift in mindset. Instead of seeing only problems and challenges, it's crucial to look for solutions and innovations. The survivors of the Great Depression didn't just wait for the economy to improve, they actively looked for ways to create value, even in times of scarcity. This entrepreneurial mindset is just as relevant today as it was then. The COVID-19 pandemic, for example, sparked a wave of innovation as businesses adapted to remote work, online services, and new ways of connecting with customers. By focusing on what can be done with the resources available, individuals during the Great Depression proved that opportunity often comes hand in hand with adversity. In today's world, the lesson is clear when faced with economic challenges. Don't just focus on the obstacles. Look for creative solutions, embrace innovation, and take calculated risks. Often, those who can think outside the box in tough times are the ones who emerge as winners when the economy recovers. The Great Depression taught a powerful lesson about the importance of financial planning and being prepared for uncertainty. Many families lost their savings when banks failed or investments plummeted, but those who had a solid financial plan were able to survive and even thrive during the crisis. Today, financial planning is just as crucial as it was then, especially in a world where economic conditions can change rapidly. The first step in protecting your money is creating an emergency fund. This fund acts as a financial safety net during tough times, allowing you to cover basic expenses without going into debt. Next, diversifying your investments is key. Relying on a single asset or source of income can be risky in times of economic instability. By spreading your investments across different sectors, stocks, bonds, real estate, or even alternative assets, you minimize the impact of any one market collapse. During the Great Depression, many families had their wealth tied up in stocks, and, when the market crashed, they were left with little. Today, diversification helps safeguard against such catastrophic losses. The idea is to have multiple streams of income and not put all your eggs in one basket. Finally, it's crucial to avoid debt whenever possible. One of the reasons many people struggled during the Great Depression was the burden of high levels of debt. When the economy turned south, they were unable to pay off their loans and mortgage payments, leading to bankruptcy or foreclosure. In today's world, managing debt is just as important. If you can't avoid it, keep it low and manageable. Pay off high-interest loans first, and be mindful of credit card debt. Prioritizing financial security through careful planning is a key step in safeguarding your future. During the Great Depression, families had to adapt to new financial realities, and one of the most important lessons they learned was how to live with less. Frugality became a necessity, not just a choice. People were forced to reconsider their consumption habits, cutting out unnecessary luxuries and focusing on what was essential. This mindset shift is still relevant today, especially when facing economic uncertainty or personal financial struggles. Living with less doesn't mean sacrificing quality of life. It's about making intentional choices that prioritize needs over wants. On the other hand, earning more during tough times isn't just about getting a higher-paying job. It's about creating additional streams of income. Back in the 1930s, many people found creative ways to make extra money, whether by starting small businesses, taking on side jobs, or finding innovative ways to leverage their skills. This entrepreneurial spirit allowed families to survive and even thrive in challenging conditions. Today, the gig economy offers numerous opportunities to generate extra income, whether through freelancing, consulting, or selling products online. By diversifying your income sources, you become less reliant on a single paycheck and more resilient to economic fluctuations. In addition to earning more, it's also crucial to be resourceful. People in the Great Depression didn't just cut back on spending, they found ways to make do with what they had. They repurposed old clothes, grew their own food, and fixed things instead of buying new. This mindset of making the most of what you already have is incredibly powerful. In today's world, it can mean cooking meals at home instead of dining out, buying second-hand instead of new, or learning basic repair skills. These small actions can add up over time, improving your financial situation while also teaching valuable lessons about self-sufficiency and creativity. Now that we've explored the lessons of the Great Depression and how they can still be applied today, the big question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Being financially prepared for tough times isn't just about saving money, it's about making conscious, sustainable choices regarding your spending. By adopting habits like smart consumption and financial planning, you can avoid the mistakes of the past and ensure your family and financial life are protected. Remember, the 1929 crisis wasn't just a test of survival, it was also an opportunity to build a solid financial intelligence mindset. Now, it's your turn to act. Start applying these lessons today and build a safer future for your finances. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now is the time. Turn on notifications so you don't miss more tips and tricks on improving your financial life.